Hi everybody, welcome back to the PTC podcast. Same with Craig Hariman from Now Base Fitness. How are you doing, bud?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm good. We've been meaning to get you in for quite a while. I think we met each other. You've obviously been fitness industrying around, one of the old boys of the industry here in Dubai anyway. And you're at LifeSpark, is that right?
Yep.
Way back?
Way back.
And it'd be impolite to not give Cara Brennan a shout out. I think
I trained with her this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
She's still at it.
Yep.
She's never going to stop.
Yeah.
She'd be a good one to get on here anyway. Anyway, Cara, if you're listening, send us a message. How are you doing?
Very well.
You are the reason why we got you in finally. Bit of quiet time, but also you've done a whole new rebrand, which is something I had to dig deep to see that was still you. I thought this would be a perfect time to get you in, talk about that. Not just talk about CrossFit and training principles and that kind of stuff, but talk about like what it was that led you to make that change.
Yep.
So give us a little background. You were LifeSpark, then you did Base 3.
Yeah, so even before that, we were in LifeSpark was the first CrossFit affiliate in the Middle East, and they opened up, and about a year after that, we were part of a team that opened, I think it was the third affiliate in the Middle East, and that was the Burn Room, and that was way back in like 2011, maybe 2011. And it's funny, so that for a lot of like the friendships I've got and the training friendships that I still see, it all started in the Burn Room for a lot of people. So it started there, and then did that for a little while, and then ended up at LifeSpark. Spent a couple years there, and I always refer to that time as like the most valuable time of my coaching career, because the position I was in was relatively low stress in terms of like wasn't managing much. It was just pure coaching, so I got a lot of time to go and pursue education and learn loads, and then got a lot of hands-on coaching time to develop myself as a coach. And then because I got really good at coaching, got presented with an opportunity to open my own business, which was Base 3. But then the reason I got offered that position was because I was doing a really good job with these guys coaching, but I knew absolutely nothing about business. They was like, let's open a gym. I was like, sounds good. How do we do that? And then went down this route in the last kind of like 8 years of just been exploring how to run a business in Dubai. And then we realized that pretty quickly is being a really great coach doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a really great business owner. And I knew going into it would be, you don't get to be a full-time coach anymore. You've got to go and learn admin and marketing and all these other skills, which has been interesting. But I haven't developed a lot as a coach in the last 8 years, but I have learned a lot about business.
I mean, it depends what direction you want to go in, doesn't it? Like, there's a lot of people who are coaching and they want to be in a management position, and then they realize that when you get into the management position, it's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
You know, and some people we still do some coaching here, but it's just to keep our kind of call it like just to keep our weapons sharp, you know, just to keep engaged with clients, understanding what the experience is like for people. But for me, I don't know when the last time I did an education course was.
Yeah, it's been, I don't think any of I probably shouldn't say this on the internet, but I don't think any of my certificates are valid anymore. I think they've all expired, and again, it doesn't replace in the experience you've got over the years of coaching, but I do miss it. I'm one of those, I'm a career coach, and like you were talking about Chris earlier going, he's like data strength and conditioning, very scientific data-driven coaching. I'm similar, and like I love geeking out over spending way too much time writing the program for the gym when you should be looking at accounts and payroll and stuff like that. But it's something that I've learned is going down this route of going into business and having the responsibility of having employees and being in this kind of leadership position is nowhere near as enjoyable for me as the coaching side of thing. And I'm glad I'm still in the industry and I still get to coach frequently and still get to write programming, because that is the passion that I get, or I'm passionate about that, and that's the reward I get for being the business owner. I'm afforded the luxury of being able to dabble in the fitness side of things. But I will always want to keep my hands in the coaching area of things and never go like full business and step out of that position. I know a lot of guys get into it and it's like, this is my way out of the fitness industry. I can be a business owner. For me, it's owning a business allows me to do the fitness thing.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times with different people, that there isn't really any old boys in the industry, and that's kind of why I framed it like that initially. And I don't know if it's because the industry is young, relatively speaking, like it's not older than the late 1990s, 2000s, right, when sort of fitness, and CrossFit came on the scene, and CrossFit just kind of, social media allowed people to learn more about fitness much easier, all that stuff. Like in the 90s, it was push-pull machines, you know, like the heavy stuff, techno gym stuff as well. So maybe there's just no 40, 50-year-olds from back then. Or is it an attrition thing where people just age out, and by the time they get to their 30s, they've got families, they've got other commitments, they don't want to be doing 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. kind of hours. So they sidestep into some other industry and get a job 9 to 5, and they hang up their coaching shoes. And that's kind of like, it's kind of one of the things that I've juggled with. I never wanted to be a PT. In short, I went back to university in my 20s to do a sports injury thing, to try and go down the clinical route. And on one of my first placements in a clinic, I actually realized I don't want to be in a clinic. I don't want to sit table to computer, treatment table to computer. So didn't do a master's in physio the way a lot of people in my class did. I went straight working, and kind of, long story short, filtered back in as a PT with the niche of injuries.
Right.
But it's just, for me, it's so much better being in the gym than in the clinic.
Yeah.
Like the music, even clients' attitude. When they're in the clinic, they want to go to the clinic to be fixed, but they're always looking for when am I finished?
Yeah. When
am I out of here? I want to go to the gym. In the gym, there's a person doing pull-ups, there's a person doing heavy lift, there's a person over there getting sweaty, and like, this is kind of where the injured people want to be back.
Yeah. Injured,
but motivated, inspired by the buzz around them. And I took to that. Exactly that. So that's where that was kind of where my coaching thing fell. But now I'm like, right, do I want to be a 40-year-old PT? Well, actually, do I want to be a 30-year-old PT? The answer was no. I'm now 39, nearly 40.
I'm still a PT.
Still a PT. Like, when people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, look, technically my day job is coaching. I'm a PT. I have a couple of businesses, but that's not how I pay my rent. Yeah. My rent is by coaching and by meeting people, finding their problem and drawing out on a piece of paper what their program is going to be, and then taking them hour by hour through it. And I think it's valuable.
It is, and I think if you're good at it, it works. And I think the conversation about why there aren't many old boys, particularly here, is I think people tend to go, like you kind of dabble in it as well, is the education route and teaching coaches how to coach, and that's the next progression, because your hours are limited unless you're just going to start going, we're 1,000 dirhams an hour. There's only so many hours in the day where you can make money off of that role before you have to learn how to scale it, and that's either open a business and you can hire more coaches, or create systems where you can educate other coaches and teach your methods on that way. They're the only routes really to scale up a PT. Otherwise you're just stuck on the floor doing it, which if you love it and you're good enough and you can charge what you want to make, then fine, you can continue to do that, but obviously it's just limited. I much prefer as well is the individualized programming route, as in remote coaching. So I spend the majority of my interactions with people are digital, and then I feel not just from a financial perspective, but my ability to reach more people is a lot more effective, because I can sit and spend an hour writing 7 workouts for someone and setting health targets for them and creating habits and helping that in an hour in a week and give them a full week's training, versus that time of one-on-one could be very valuable, but I'm probably not going to be able to impact as much of their life in that 1 hour. So for me, I've switched to doing a lot more remote coaching, and that's what I enjoy a lot more. And again, it's kind of like just the geeky element of going, okay, this week this happened and we saw this change. What if we tweak that for the next 4 weeks and this happens now? And it's funny, my 3, not so much now, but my 3 kind of hobbies were fitness and coaching, making wanky coffee and slow cooking barbecue. And I realized when I analyzed them why those 3 things I'm so interested to me. It's because all 3 of them, you can make small adjustments to change the outcome. So if you're making coffee and you have a slightly different temperature or a different grind size, it produces a different cup off the same bean. If you're running a back squat cycle for whatever and you start at a different percentage, or you add this pause for this long or whatever, will it produce a different outcome? And then that just became really interesting to me, as like, cool, well, how can we manipulate this interval to try and make you last a little bit longer, or how do we improve this by this, or what's the improvement? And it just became like a whole, like, it's definitely a science, but just this obsession with trying to tweak things and manipulate things. And I feel you can't do that as much in a one-on-one, versus if I'm like writing, for the next 4 weeks we're going to plan this thing and write that out and plan that and see what the progressions are and see what the progress is. And that's what I love, and that's the thing that's kept me sane being a business owner in Dubai for the last 8 years, is just having the escape every like an hour a day of being able to let's write this program and play with this and tweak this, and that's where my enjoyment for it comes from.
It's interesting you say all of that, the coffee, the cooking, and the program design, because I tell people as well who talk about programming, like for me, the programming part of it is like the chef. You're preparing the thing. Yeah. You're preparing it in your head. Whatever your ingredients are going to be. There's a desired outcome, and you want to get this to look like, to give that at the end. And it's your chance to, as the coach, put it in front of the client and go, bon appetit. You know, this is the next 4 weeks for you. And they look at it and they go, okay, cool. And then you get to kind of watch them now enjoy that. And so that's what it's in my head. It's always been like, that's my chef, my creative moment where I get to go. Forget about all the science and stuff, but it's how you put all those bits together, understand the needs of the person, understand the personality of the person, what will they like, what will they not like, and then just put it on the table and go, voila.
100%. And you just touched on a really good point there, is like the scientific principles of why you should do this load and this periodization matter very little compared to how can we make this more enjoyable for someone so they're more compliant, so they get better results. And that's the art of, okay, well, they didn't do the recovery work last time because it looked pretty boring. How can we make that more interesting so they recover, so they're not as sore for the next day, and just trying to find ways to manipulate that. But yeah, I've got a similar phrase, and people, this is all because of you, coach, thank you. We just like, no, we just write the recipe, you've got to make the cake. And that's kind of the approach, is like, we'll give you all the tools, but the person has to match with the effort. Yeah,
so you do your coach, or you do your programming for base?
Yeah, right. The program for the gym, which is we just run one program. We used to run a couple different things, and we had more of a CrossFit program. We haven't been CrossFit affiliated for a few years, but we used to have a more like CrossFit focused program. So all the skill work, the weightlifting, gymnastics stuff, and we've always been, ever since we opened up until very recently, focused on offering that service. But I've always loved and thought it's more valuable to offer a pure strength and conditioning program because the majority of people don't need to snatch and don't need to do double unders and don't need to learn to walk on the hand. The only people that need that are people that want to do CrossFit. Mm-hmm. So we've catered to that audience previously, but I've always wanted to and felt more appropriate to cater to people who just want to get strong, want to get fit, want to feel and want to look better, because ultimately that's why people train. And we recently made the shift from offering a CrossFit program and the strength and conditioning program to just a strength and conditioning program. And this was when, with the rebrand, was part of that. So I write the programming for our base program, which is called Base. The gym's called Base. And that's, again, just a straight up strength and conditioning. We squat, we deadlift, we press every week. We do different duration intervals. We do a longer, slower day. We do a shorter, more high intensity day. And then we sprinkle in a little bit of the skill work. So there might be a couple of sets of toes to bar every now and again, or we do some pull-ups and power cleans, for example, but nothing too technical. And it's just to give people a dose of, I want to feel like I'm still doing something high intensity, and sprinkling some of the higher skill movements into those into workouts. But it's hard because people want to smash themselves in the gym, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, but I don't train like that. I don't smash myself in the gym every day. I'm very structured in my training. I do a little bit of strength work. Any conditioning work is very rigid intervals and being able to hit this target zone and whatnot, because that's how you get results, and that's been documented for decades. This is the most effective way to train. But people want to come in and feel like they've had a good workout, and they don't want to do boring stuff. So trying to find ways to make the program fun and effective, and effective meaning like I'm taking all these complicated principles of training and try and put them into, we're just going to do this and it's going to be fun. And trying to get, again, high compliance because people are enjoying themselves, but also making sure they're getting results is kind of the art, is giving people what they want, but also giving them what we know they need is kind of the goal at the moment, and trying to make effective training more fun so people enjoy it still.
How have the guys taken to the new approach? Is it a new approach, or is it the same approach, just different brand on top of it?
I'd say it's a similar approach, but now we're not hiding it. Whereas we've had this base program we've had for years, but we always used to just hide it in strength and conditioning and hide the focus on health. Like we used to always, I'm a big fan of accessory work. I'm a big fan of nice long warm-ups and doing recovery work. And we used to always just try and hide that in. So it's like, we're doing heavy squats, but between the heavy squats, we're going to do some sets of farmers carrying in between. Whereas now it's like, oh no, we're doing these movements because these movements are really good for you and we want you to be healthier and want you to be able to do this forever. So we're going to do this. And now we're being more blatant about the goal with the program. So the changes, and it was funny, you were talking earlier about the change being like, oh, who are these new guys and the thing? And that was kind of the goal. We made these changes and digitally it went really well. It was a massive change. Yeah. In the gym, it's not too different. Like we haven't gotten around to changing like the colors in the gym yet. It still looks the same inside. The only thing we've changed with the program was dropping the CrossFit program. So then when we did that, there was a couple people they missed the CrossFit side of things, because there are people, and in my mind, I'm like, look, if you're 38 and you've got kids and a full-time job, you don't need to be doing really high intensity metcons every day and doing like really crappy power snatching and like pairing power snatches with toaster bar and all that stress on your shoulders. Just not necessary. You'd get much more benefit from doing some tempo pressing and some bike intervals. You'd get much better results.
And what did Cara say when you said that's where?
Yeah, we've had that conversation many times. But there is a handful of people that have just gone, no, I really like the CrossFit stuff and I want to retain those skills and I want to learn to walk on my hands and I want to learn how to kip toaster bar. Like, that's cool. If that's your goal, then we'll support that. And some guys kind of went off in the corner and still run their own program, and we'll support that as much as we weren't. But it just became really hard to deliver this program and offer this service, even though it is good for business, say. But if you don't believe in it and you don't think that's the right service, you feel like you're doing a disservice to the people that are paying you money every month. And you're like, I know through my experience and I know through the literature and training that there's a better way to get the results that you want than what we're giving to you. Yeah. So then we wanted to make that shift for that reason. And also we felt like we were doing a disservice by not. So that one thing we changed was the training side of things. So we spoke a bit about the changes to the programming. The other thing we've implemented is how do we try and help people for the rest of their day. So we get them for an hour, 5 to 6 days a week, and we can control that. But then how are they sleeping? How are they eating? How are they managing stress? And try to implement some of this kind of like, for lack of a better term, lifestyle coaching and habit formation through what we call individual mentorship. So when a new member joins, we'll be like, oh, cool, Keith, your goal is to do this, 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 and this. I recommend doing this program, and then on a Wednesday go for a Zone 2 run. Mm-hmm. Cool, you've got a real high-stress job. How do you sleep? Oh, I only sleep this many hours. Cool, for the next 2 weeks, I want you to try and get to bed before 10 o'clock, and then implement small habits a long time to try and, because you'll be like, all right, yeah, I can do that. And you might not understand the knock-on effect or the positive impact that's going to have on how you feel in training the next day, or your energy levels, or your performance at work. I'm just trying to educate people around, here's something you can do that is going to take, it's going to a 5% improvement in your sleep. But if we can start stacking those and we can get you hydrating a bit better and eating a little bit better, sleeping a little bit better, that starts to have a positive impact on your performance in the gym, but also in your performance as a partner, a professional, as a parent, and just kind of looking at not just fitness as training, but as health as a very holistic approach to all these things matter. And training and nutrition are probably the biggest movers. Mm-hmm. But then there's all these little pieces that if we compound those, that can have a massive impact on people as well. Yeah.
You make it sound so easy.
No, and again, it's very, very simple, but it's not easy. Yeah. And especially like it's for us as individuals, and me and my missus were talking about this the other day. It goes, maybe it's more so living here, but it shouldn't be so hard to walk 10,000 steps, drink 3 liters of water, get sun for 10 minutes a day, and get into nature frequently. It shouldn't be so hard. And it's just, we're so busy, and we're prioritizing going to the gym, and there's all these other areas of life that we're like, we need to fix this. Yeah. But it's difficult. And it shouldn't, your setup, I feel like it shouldn't be this hard to tick these really easy box, or simple, not easy boxes, if we set ourselves up. And again, it's maybe just the area we live in, the part of the world we're living in. It's hot outside, so you're less likely to walk to get your steps in, and getting sun exposure is almost dangerous at some times of day because it is so hot. And nature is, I know you like to get out into the mountains and stuff, but it's not easy. And I admire you making the commitment to drive the hour, to go and walk for the hour, to drive back for the hour. Whereas like if you lived somewhere where I could walk 10 minutes and be on a trail somewhere, that's obviously a lot easier.
Big park.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's very simple but not easy.
Yeah.
And it requires discipline and accountability. And if you're going to form a habit, that takes some doing. Like, you can't, like, I've picked up loads of good habits, but not many of them stick. And someone said to me once, he goes, if it falls at a time of stress, then it's not a habit yet. So for you to form a habit till it's actually a habit, it takes a lot of work. And you can't go, hey, here's 6 things that I want you to go and do now. Because you're probably going to maybe pick up one of them if you're lucky. Whereas just pick one thing, and okay, I'm going to go to bed before this time every day, and I'm going to try and do that for 30 days straight. More than likely, it's going to become a habit.
That's interesting what you just phrased it as. You said if it falls during stress, it's not a habit. As in, if you fail, if it disappears out of the cycle.
Yeah. So if it's so I've started journaling this year 3 times, and it's only in June, so it's 6 months, and I've already made the habit, lost the habit, made the habit.
Oh,
so I wasn't consistent enough with it. So I can't say it's a habit yet. It's something that I find really valuable and I like doing, but it isn't a part of my day where I don't have to think about doing it. So for me, drinking 3 liters of water a day, easy. I do that every day, no problem. Before 11 o'clock most mornings, that's a habit that's ingrained, and I've learned how to do that, and I've implemented that habit. But other things that I know are good for me, they're conscious. I have to think and try to get those things in because they're not ingrained yet. So I feel like trying to form a habit is, once you get it in and it's locked in, then it will stay, whether it's you're tired or you're stressed or you're busy, you'll still keep doing that thing.
I have a weird thing that's contrary to kind of how you've just described that, and it's like I don't meditate unless I'm stressed. I don't. I'm trying to think of what else. I've like 4 or 5 things. I don't journal. I don't do gratitude stuff unless I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I almost feel like that's in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Right now I'm fine. I don't need to go there.
Which is great.
And then when I do get stressed, I'm like COVID, 10 minutes every day.
Yeah.
When we first set up the business and stuff was chaos, 10 minutes every day, you know, and first thing in the morning. And I found my old little gratitude book a while ago, and I opened it and flipped through it, and like it's all dated way back.
Yeah.
But it's right in my bedside thing. I forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, let me see what's the, and it's so simple stuff, but it's just that I like, right now I don't need to use that mechanism. But when I get stressed,
it's there.
And stuff, the wheel starts to fall off, then I start plugging in these things.
Which is great, because they're tools that you know are helpful, and you've got them at your disposal, and you know that if I need them, they're there for me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's a habit for you to meditate every day or a habit for you to journal, but having those available to you in times of need, that's awesome. I think, and having those, that's just coping mechanisms for stress. That could be anything. And I don't know, us again speaking to a missus, she said it's because you're midlife at the moment, and I'm just in search of questions, and I don't know, something's missing for me. Like I feel like I'm drinking my 3 liters of water, training's good, work-life balance is good, everything's pretty in line at the moment, and there's still something missing. So I think I'm on this search of like, what's the thing that's going to give me that extra thing? So dabbling in things like meditation and journaling, trying to think that's what's going to take me to this place where I don't know what the destination is. And maybe that's the whole thing, is it's the journey of trying to find yourself. But along that process of trying to find these things is I've found a bunch of things that are helpful for when I am stressed, and ways to cope with things like that. And I feel like people don't have access to that because they haven't tried meditating, or they haven't tried journaling, or they don't know the benefits of getting some sunlight in the morning. And then they do get hyper stressed, and they haven't figured out ways that they can manage that and cope with that. Whereas obviously you've figured a couple of ways that you can manage that stress out.
Yeah, I don't know why it came up like that, but it just, you know, when things start to ease off, it was like, right, I don't need to go to that place. I don't know, you just kind of release. It's definitely after COVID anyway, when things start getting back to normal. I remember feeling like, okay, now I can get busy with the other stuff, whatever. But what's interesting to say that you're on a search. Like, what do you think you're searching for? Like, what is it? Like, if let's say your wife is correct, because we all know she's definitely correct, whether we
100%.
Understand that or not.
I think I'm definitely. I'm searching for something, but she brought at the point where it's a midlife, it's a stage thing, because when you're young and gung ho, you're like, no, I know what I need. I'm gonna own this business. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna train this way. And I get to this point, and I feel like you've experienced enough things to realize that you don't have all the answers, or the whole that curve of like
the Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you start and you learn a little bit, like I know everything. And you realize that, no, I don't know anything. You're at the bottom of this curve. And when I opened my business so when I was in 2016 and there was this super coach and did this education, I was like up here, I know everything there is to know about training people. And then opened a business, realized you don't know anything. And I was down here at the bottom of this curve. And I thought, okay, this is a great position because you get here and you realize, because you've learned so much, that you know so little. And then I realized recently, 8 years later, like I'm down here and I've reached probably not the bottom, but deeper levels of this curve than I thought possible. And it's because I've learned more that I've realized there's more to learn. And I don't know what it is because I'm searching for it. But I think I don't know if it's religion, I don't know if it's spirituality, but I feel like, so a lot of the rebrand came from my own experience. And I feel like as a coach, you're most powerfully positioned to help the person that you once were. Mm-hmm. So now a lot of my coaching style and stuff is related to lifestyle management and stress management and all these tactics, and not just physical training. And I had some mad experience with mental health and bouts of depression in 2022, which was, my son was born in 2021. So being 2022, I realized, and I found this out after the fact as well, is men experience a lot of hormone dips. So my testosterone was through the floor in the start of 2022. And it often happens when parents, and I'm going to say this, but don't quote me on this because the science might not be right. But the whole like dads, they kind of, to avoid them running off when the kid's born and trying to like find new families and new mates and stuff to stay close to their family, their testosterone level drops, so they have no drive to be as active historically. Or evolutionary. Sure. So then I didn't realize that at the time, or know that. So for me, I was just like, why am I so tired all the time? Right. Why am I so stressed? Why do I have no energy? Why do I not feel like training? Why is the body composition getting worse and all these things? And then why am I super depressed? And it was probably about 4 or 5 bouts into having really severe bouts of depression of me going, something's not right here. So then I went on this search in the start of 2023 to figure out I identified the symptoms. How do I fix them? And it was things like meditation and journaling. And one of the big things was dropping my training volume, which led to the changes.
I remember seeing one of your posts recently, maybe more so a year ago now. You told me zone 2 training.
Yeah.
And I remember I read it in depth, and I honestly felt like he's turned a corner in whatever he's on. Like, because this is not what base 3 was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like my training is so boring. I lift weights. Yeah. And I lift 4 sets of a bunch of reps. Yeah. And then I do a superset, and I do 4 or 5 supersets. Yeah. No, I do 3, and then I go home, and I just try and make sure it happens at least 4 times a week. Yeah. And I run. I put my earphones in, and I don't care about splits times. I don't care about speed. I just go, ooh, right, I've got 40 minutes.
Let's go for a run.
Yeah, I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's as boring and as simple as that. So I don't know what you did, but I think you put up you just explained it. Like you just clearly opened up and went through a zone 2 training. And I was like, that's exactly like where my head is at. And I just felt that this is now leads out maybe to the rebrand. Yeah. This is kind of what I was wondering, are these connected?
100%. And it was, like I said, my personal experience of going, I'm massively stressed, business owner, new dad, all these variables that I can't control necessarily. The one thing that is probably adding the most stress to my life that I can control is my training intensity. Yeah. Former CrossFitter, smashing myself good 3 or 4 times a week, trying to do a lot of competitions. And I think that was me like trying to hold on to my youth of like, I can still do this. And the bad thing was we kept winning these comps as well. And it was only these small local comps, and we kept winning. So like, oh, you've got to go again. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to. Yeah. But we kept doing them. And so I would look at and at the time I was writing 3 or 4 different training tracks. And I was like, oh, which one looks the hardest? We'll do that one today. And picked like 4 times a week, just putting myself in the absolute ground and smashing myself hard on the floor, dead at least 4 times a week. Which obviously is positive for your training performance, but not great for your health and not great for your stress levels. Yeah. And that was one of the things I identified when I made all these changes. Right. So one of the biggest changes I made for myself was my training intensity and volume. So I went down, I do 5, maybe 6 hours a week, and I was doing like 10 to 15 maybe. And again, it wasn't even that I was doing so much volume, but the intensity was really, really high all the time. Yeah. So then, and I've known of the benefits of Zone 2 for a long time. But what sold it for me was my own personal experience. So when I'd made this decision to make all these changes for my own health, is I got a VO2 max test.
Right.
And then 4 months later, I managed to improve my VO2 by like 5 points. And it was 48 up to 53. So big jumps.
Yeah.
We're at the upper, like, and it's not elite, but the upper side of the scale. And the guy who did the test is like, how have you done that in 4 months? Like, doesn't make sense. How is that possible? And I'd reduced my training volume.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, it was just like, hold on, and it was the zone 2 stuff. Because the only thing that had been consistent, well, sorry, I lie. There was 2 sessions that were consistent every week, and that was a zone 2 and a zone 4. Zone 2 being low intensity, steady state, longer session. Zone 4 being sustainable but higher intensity intervals, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off on a bike erg or whatever. And then change sort of the CrossFit style stuff I was doing. I was doing that maybe once a week, and I still do that now once a week, just to do it with people for a bit of social interaction.
Yeah. But I bet you're not going as hard as you used to when it...
Try to.
Okay.
And this is the cool thing, is so I pull my training intensity back and training volume back.
Yeah. Over 7 days.
Yeah, over 7 days. And then over a 4 month period, saw what was it, like an 11, or I think it's something like 17% improvement in my fitness by a scientific measure of what my body's capable of doing by reducing my training volume. And this is why we made these, not why we made these changes, one of the reasons that led us to these changes with the rebrands. Like, no, our goal, people want to be fit. We want to make people fitter. And I realized that, and we can get into why, but CrossFit's not a great tool for getting you fit. It's a great tool for getting you being really good at CrossFit. Yeah. And it's improving maybe your top end performance on certain movements. Like, I can't do like toes to bar and bar muscle ups and power cleans and power snatches in a workout at the same capacity that I used to be able to. But I can run faster. I can go better. Everything that is a fitness movement. Because when you're doing CrossFit, there's other limitations. It's like, is it your leg endurance? Is it your grip fatigue? Are there certain sort of local fatigue that's going to happen? So if you're doing like thrusters, your legs and shoulders are going to blow up way before your fitness gets effective. So you can do any CrossFit workout you want. It's not going to have as positive effect on your VO2, which is a measure of absolute fitness. And again, I've, in doing all this research, become a massive fan of Peter Attia, and he claims, and a lot of other people claim as well, that your VO2 max is one of the biggest indicators of long-term health and longevity. And I'm having a kid, obviously mindset changes to be like, I want to be able to do this when I'm 80, not just now. So then if having a higher VO2 now is a correlate of how healthy I'm going to be in the next 40 years, then I'm going to do everything I can to improve my VO2 max, and I'm not going to get that from doing thrusters and toes to bar. So then it became zone 2 1 day a week, zone 4 1 day a week, and then strength work and the occasional class in between.
And how do you do your zone 2? On a bike, on a treadmill?
Bike or run. Yeah, bike or run.
Outdoor or indoor run?
Outdoor run, getting a bit challenging at the moment. And the thing is, I think rowing and skiing on a machine's no good because you have to move your body too much. And if you think about the muscular contraction requirements of you being able to stand all the way up and bring your arms all the way down, that's going to become more tiring on the muscles than it is on your aerobic system.
There's also a lot of that, like, you go all the way one end, outer range, and then inner range, and outer range, and it's just killer.
Exactly. Whereas you can sit on a stationary bike, you're not going to move in at a pace fast that's going to blow your legs up, so you're only testing your fitness. And if you're an efficient runner, running is great to get out and do it as well, but a lot of people aren't fit enough or efficient enough at running to be able to run fast enough for it to be a zone 2 run.
Yeah, still in zone 2. Yeah, this is one of the issues that we have with guys. So when we started going into mountain training, the fundamental thing you need to be able to do on a mountain is walk for an extended period of time beyond anything you do in your day-to-day life without falling off a cliff of glycogen depletion, pardon the pun. So what you need to do is you need to work in zone 2. And then when you start telling people that, they get it when you're talking to them. They get it, they follow. You got the pictures, you got the graphs, you got aerobic, you got anaerobic, you got mitochondria, you got oxygen, fat, you got carbs, finished carbs, you got nothing. They get it. Yeah. And then when they go to do it, they send me screenshots of chaos. Yeah. and it's like, I need you to slow it down. Yeah. I don't want to, but then I'm walking. Yeah. Well, then you're walking.
You're walking.
I mean, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah, but I want to run. It's like, I know you do. Yeah. But it's not there yet. And it's really hard to explain. Just stay the course. Because I think as well it takes a little bit longer at the beginning. Yeah. And it might be the behavioral change that's a big part of the underlying success of it. But it takes way longer to start for people to start to feel the benefit of zone 2. Yes. Like if you go running at zone 3, 1 week you'll go 2.5K, the next week you might jump to 3.2K, then you go to 4K, and then you've had this works. I'm going to keep going. And then you kind of plateau and stuff. But at the beginning, you get that little beginner's gains, which I don't think you get with zone 2. There's no beginner's gains. It's just still lurking way back deep in the physiology.
Yeah, I like running. So I choose to run at least once a week, zone 2, try and do just go for an hour. And even though it's hot out, I went for it, and I'm the opposite to you. I'm like big on numbers. I want to know my paces. I want to know this. And I've spent a lot of time working on this. It's been about 18 months now where I've done a zone 2 session once a week for the last 18 months at least.
Yeah.
And I can hold like this isn't going to mean much to most people, but a 5:05 running pace at zone 2 for an hour. So it's moving. It's a decent pace, but it's taken me 18 months to get to that point. Whereas when I first started, it was like 7.5 minutes. So that's a significant improvement, but that has taken 18 months.
Yeah. So let's not confuse this. Your way is being data driven is better to get that big time change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we both started training 18 months ago, and I'm like, no, I just love running. I just love being out and breathing and hearing podcasts, and I don't. 18 months later, you're way fitter than me.
True, and I think I have 2 ways I explain zone 2 to people. 2 ways. So there's zone 2 and chill, which is I can just go out and enjoy myself and stay at a conversational pace, or I can do a recovery bike ride next to a mate and we can chat the whole way through it for 40 to 60 minutes. And there's benefit to that. There'll be some recovery benefit to it that will improve your fitness in some way. Then there's zone 2 and gain, where you're pushing your limits of fitness whilst being forced to stick between a scientific bracket of like, I can't go above 154 beats per minute. And again, we're using like heart rate monitors, so it's not the most accurate device, but it's the best we've got access to. And I'm very much like, okay, how far can I push this run while still staying in this easy zone 2 and make it into a bit of a game, and just try and modify that as well. So every time you run, you want to be 1% better, say. So I'm always trying to improve it that way. And that's just more entertaining for me, because at the start it is mega boring.
That's what you just said. That's your fuel. That's that's your petrol on the fire. That's what keeps you going, is that you actually want to see those improvements. For me, I have so little ego attached to training. Like I don't care. I'll take people for runs in the mountains. It's their first trail run. I'm leading where we're going, and I'm at the back. And I'm like, left, stop, wait. And then I'll catch up with them, and then we'll go again. Like I'm so happy I don't care. Do you know what I mean? It's such an easy thing for me just to go off and run. When it comes to, like, I did the Burj to Burj half marathon in 20 just gone. And I did a rack half marathon before, and my time was like 154, which I was really happy with. This one, I didn't prepare with the frequency amount of like tick the box. I hit the same amount of sessions, but I've been running way longer in distance for way longer in time in the run up to the Burj.
Fine.
I kind of thought, that'll be fine. That'll be enough, you know? And then I finished in like 2:16.
Right.
You know, which is like, okay, so now I have a time. Now I've been evaluated. And I didn't really go. I was hoping to get under 2 hours. I kind of figured, but I didn't pay any attention. I didn't have any levers to pull. I didn't change anything along the preparation. I just went out to the mountains, ran real far, and it didn't serve me in time, you know. But now I'm like, shit, 2:16. I should have been at least under 2 hours. Because all the guys in our group like were ahead, or some of the ones who were behind who were quite unfit. But I was like, all right. Now I've been forced to see my time, to see my performance, and it's gone down.
Right.
And now it's kind of just got me in a little bit in the gut. Like, if you're going to do it next year, you can't be 2:16. You know. So now it's that kind of, now I'll have to, because you're free hippie. I just run, I just cycle. That's great for that. But if you actually do have a performance, you do need to get into the data. You do need to measure and track and change.
And I've always been very like, even though my goals now have changed to be more health driven, I'm still very like performance based. So for me, I always want to see it's very motivating for me to have a goal to work through. So like I set some really aggressive goals and this is the other thing as well, is people I think misunderstand. This is probably the thing we've done the worst with our rebrand, was we've made this shift from being perceived as quite a performance-based CrossFit facility, and we wanted to be a health and longevity-focused facility. But people have gone like, oh, they're hardcore CrossFit, and now they're like a health spa, and they think we don't do anything intense.
That's not the vibe I got.
Good. But I think a lot of the time maybe it is more internal. People will be like, oh yeah, well, no, we want to train hard still, and it's just like, you're having a laugh. We did we did a 42,000 meter sandbag carry.
Yeah,
a couple
Robin was
months
telling
ago.
me.
Yeah, we've done.
You call it a 42,000 meter sandbag carry. She's like, I ran a marathon with a sandbag.
Well, this was the thing, is we were talking before, and we were trying to set it up for members later in the year, and I was like, before I announce it, I want to test it. Are you in? And everyone was like, yeah. And about 4 days later, I was just like, we've got to technically run a marathon in order to do this, and we've done no training for it. And everyone was just like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, all right, if you guys are in. And we got through it.
Yeah, I did talk to Robin about it. I was like, I need you to be careful here. Like,
yeah,
please, if you want to quit, just quit. I had to tell her. She told me, I was like, don't attach anything to the success or failure of this.
Yeah.
Because what's ultimately more important is that you don't break yourself.
100%. And this whole thing is.
I kind of told her, I was like, I bet you 2 of the guys are going to quit. You're going to go way further than the guys because you can endure more pain as a female. This is my bro science chat with her.
Yeah.
But I was like, but if it comes to you want to walk, just walk. You know, if it comes to whatever you need to, don't. And she's like, you said I can't do it. I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're going to hurt yourself, so please go easy.
2 things that was the first time I trained with Robin, and she's an animal. I was so impressed.
She's a monster.
Like, one of the most impressive physical things I've ever seen. Didn't say a word the entire time. And then, so one guy did drop out after 2 laps. And so I knew nothing about Robin's background. I know a lot about Rowan, who's the other fellow on the team. Just his character as an athlete he's the type of person that, like, if he can run a certain distance in a certain time, but he needs to do it 2 seconds quicker, but he's only physically capable of doing it in that time, he'll find a way to do it 2 seconds quicker. So there's nothing, in my mind, there's nothing he can't do. And then for me, I'm a lot older than that crew. And I was like, is my back going to hold up? Is this going to whatever? And me and Ron are both 100 kilos. In fact, the third guy that started, Mateo's, we're all like around the 100 kilo mark. I don't know how heavy Robin is, but she's definitely not 100 kilos, but carried the same weight as us for the same amount of carry the entire time and didn't say a word, just got on with it. It was mad. And then the other thing that was funny about that is I'm known for getting grumpy, especially when it's like when there's not as much sleep. We've done a couple overnight things like this before, and I'm always the first person to lose it with people. And the bet was not who's going to get injured first, it's how long until Craig gets injured, and then how long until Craig loses temper, everybody. And we didn't. It was just a pleasant experience. It was just great start to finish.
Man, so we did the Goggins thing, and I watched some of the guys fall apart slowly over a weekend. And that kind of running is fine with me. You know, like it's not easy, but that wasn't difficult for me.
Yeah.
It was just, to be honest, it was boring.
Yeah.
It was so boring. I was like, I wish we weren't doing this, but I'll get it done. And like for me, it's called running boring. It's like, it's really boring.
Yeah.
Just all the crappy time in between. The marathon thing she did, amazing. Robin did it, but then they came 2 weeks ago and did 24-hour workouts.
Man.
I joined them for 2 of the workouts, and I did not enjoy either of them. And both of them, my only motivation was, I'm finishing this in like the next 16, 17, 20 minutes, I'll be done.
Yeah.
How they did 23 more, 22 more, 21 more, 20 more is like, that's next level impressive. The marathon thing, to be honest, I figured it's doable.
Yeah.
As long as you don't give yourself like a bookend, you can do it, no worries. And again, I was kind of joking, I was like, you know, JLT, in the dark, there's no one around, you've nothing to lose, like whatever, I get it. Go down Beach Road, you know, in January when everyone's there, and then see how you go at a marathon, blah, blah, blah. But that thing that they did, 24 hours, and those workouts were not easy.
Nah.
They were not like...
Finishing with Murph.
They were not, let's make sure we have enough of this separated from this again to recover, to do the thing. It was just... When I looked at the programs, I was like, oh my God, you guys are going to, like, you're going to really, really struggle. I did 2 workouts with them on the last quarter. And I was, honestly, my legs were sore for about 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And it was just, I did Murph a little bit just to kind of finish it with them. But it was just, I can't imagine what they went through for that. That's next level. But that's the kind of thing where I would expect, and she doesn't listen to this podcast, but when the time comes, I'm going to rewind it back for her 40-something minutes into this podcast. We'll see when Robin turns that corner from just beasting, go, tick the box, I can do that, tick the box, I can do that too. How do I build in a little bit of conservation in my training? How do I do, like, she trains smart, but I think it's kind of that whatever CrossFit did to the fitness world, it changed from. I remember when I first found out about. I was in a job with the military guys, and the military boys were telling me all about it. And I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm like, wait. How do you periodize? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, so you're doing
Period what?
I was like, wait, so what you're doing a little bit of all the energy systems, yeah. What do you do like after 6 or 8 weeks? They're like, you just do more strength. I'm like, but you're not shifting out of that energy system enough to do strength to let. There was no. So for me, 2008, I was like, CrossFit's not for me. I don't understand it. I don't know how you're going to recover. So I never went down that road. And it's interesting now to see like the elite athletes doing it, but they do it like a sport.
Yeah.
They do it where they don't do CrossFit 6 to 7 days a week. They do strength, they do aerobic, they do
100%.
They do anaerobic, they do something else, and then they bring it together for game day once, twice a week, and then they go back out and they build the components.
Exactly.
So it's it. This is where this is kind of the thing that it was interesting to see that as your post. I was like, I think he's turned a corner here away from the.
Yeah, and I think it's something.
Because I'm super impressed by how much you smash as well. When I see the workouts you do, on like your hardcore workouts, I'm like, Jesus.
And like I said, it's for me. It's been a long time coming, and it's now we're trying to like in like brainwash our members now to be like, this is better for you. This is good. I know this is the fun stuff, the CrossFit stuff that you love is really fun, but if you want to be stronger, if you want to be fitter, if you want to look better, and you want to feel better, there's a much better way of doing it. But that way you can still train hard if you want to, because a lot of people get a rush from like I said, I'm guilty of it, falling on the floor after workout, near death of experience, and then going, oh, I actually made it through that. It is good. And you can get that from ways that are still beneficial for your training. It's not training easy. And even if you look at a lot of the Peter Attia stuff, it's kind of like, okay, if you want to look at what do the last 10 years of your life want to look like, he's got a checklist you go through, because I want to walk up the stairs and carry my groceries and do all these things. Then if you're 35 now, you need to be able to do this thing that correlates to you being able to do that thing in 40 years' time. So for me to carry all the groceries up the stairs when I'm 80, now I need a triple bodyweight deadlift, for example. And there's all these things you've got to do now to enchain, because if you get to like an elite level of fitness now, you're going to degrade as you get older, and where you're going to end up just before you live, that's still going to be quite high, versus if your fitness level is really low now or average, or if you're doing a lot of like really high intensity CrossFit stuff and you're not actually improving your fitness, or you're not getting that strong because you're not doing any focused strength work or focused conditioning work, you're not moving the needle up, you're just getting really good at doing toaster bar, then you're going to degrade, and by the time you get to 60, you're going to start struggling, you're going to not be able to pick things off the floor or play with grandkids and stuff like that. And having that in the back of your mind when you're making your training program and plan all these things is important, but you can still train hard now. And like I said, I want my VO2 to be as high as physically possible now, so that when I do get old and I've lost 40% of that, it's still high enough that I can still go for a jog. And then in order, the work I have to put in now to get my VO2 as high as it needs to be now, so that I can go for a run when I'm 80, I need to do a lot of hard work to be able to get that point. And the reason it's a correlate to longevity is because in order for you to move the needle on a VO2 max test, you have to put in a lot of work. If you've done a lot of work, you're probably going to have good cardiac conditioning. You're probably going to be better off.
And part of that hard work that you've just said a bunch of times in there is being able to wake up tomorrow and do it again, or continue to train. I think the biggest thing that I see, even with people who do our classes over time, is you keep smashing that one energy system. You kind of think, this is what it is to train. I need this. I need to feel like this, or it's not been a good session. I need to feel sore after, or it's not a good session. And it's okay to be sore. It's okay to be like bunged up. It's okay to not have slept, because that's just what it is to be a person. And it's like, you can, honestly, if you slot in zone 2, you had your moment with the VO2 threshold stuff. My thing came where I went for a long zone 2 run. I paid real close attention to the thing, to the beats per minute. And when I finished, I wasn't dead. Yeah. I was like, I'm actually feeling great. Yeah. And I can think, it's really hot. I'm not exhausted. I'm not burned out. And then the rest of that day or whatever it was normal. It benefited from the run. So then I was like, okay, we'll try this again. This is like my discovery of this whole thing a few years ago. And then the next day I wasn't sore. I know, like, even when I ran again the next day, there was no initial stiffness through my Achilles or like hip stiff or, oh, my back is just a little bit stiff over there. Okay, look, keep going. Everything was at a level that was recover fromable, you know? So that was, for me, I was like, okay, this is where I'm at now, because I can build in way more running, much more frequent throughout the week, without having to think, oh no, I can't run this morning because I have to do this thing this afternoon, and that's going to take a lot of brain power, focus, so I'll just skip my run. It's like, I can actually run. If I keep to this zone 2, I can just do 40 minutes. The distance doesn't bother me because I'm not attached to that kind of stuff, but the recovery capacity was way better. And then I don't know if it was as a result, or if it was a coincidence, or if there was other factors at play. The next time we started going on these long duration hikes, it was significantly easier than the first few ones we'd been on. Like, we went to Kilimanjaro and whatever the first time, exhausted getting to the top of the summit. The next year, no more than 12 months later, we went back, and it was so easy. I didn't say a word to anybody. All the rest of the group were struggling. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I was like, I don't even want to talk about it. I was like, I don't know what just happened. That was so much easier. And all I had done was after the failure on the first mountain to reach the true summit, I was like, right, we need to change some stuff. And I had all my theories, and then I got deep into the science, got a couple of books, zone 2 training. I was like, this is old science that I've neglected. Like, this is what I learned in my fitness instructor course in 2004.
100%.
Do you know? 50% to 60%. I'm like, all right, let's give this a go. Boom, game changer. And I was like, and then we did some slides here, we did some info stuff here, we spoke to people, but I'm like, it's so boring. You can't teach the masses this. People just have to.
Yeah, imagine if you could have a training setup where you did a zone 2 day, like one of your classes a zone 2 day. I'd love it. I think it'd be amazing. You just got all the machines out, you had enough bites and whatever. You just do a zone 2 day. I think it's so valuable. But you couldn't sell it.
Well, yeah, they'd be like, well, what am I paying for?
Yeah.
But they'd also like, I want to feel.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know you do, but you're not going to be able to train tomorrow or potentially the day after. You're going to be all bunged up and sore.
Yeah. I think another thing with the actual improvements in fitness, and again, this is first-hand experience, is doing loads of mad CrossFit is like, so if you do like burpees here and then bike sprint there and you're trying to do this, is the zone that you're in, because like, okay, I do a bunch of thrusts and I've got to take a break because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Your heart rate comes down and it goes back up again. So you end up with these fluctuating zones. So you spend like a bit of time in 5 and a bit of time in 3, and everyone's like on their whoop. It's like, oh no, but my average was like zone 4. I spent the majority of time in zone 4. Goes, yeah, but you've touched all 5 energy systems or all 5 training zones, and you've worked all these different pathways, and then you haven't spent any time improving any single one of them. You've just done a little bit of everything. So you're going to make a little bit of improvement in all those areas. Yeah. Versus if you went and spent an hour at zone 2, you spent a lot of time improving that one thing. Then later in the week you go and you spend an hour spending in zone 4. You're going to get a big return on that. So be more focused and be more intentional with the type of training you want to improve will have a massive improvement on your fitness. And then you brought up how the pro CrossFitters train. The guys who are the best, the tip of the spear of the sport, they do heaps of zone 2 work. They do heaps of energy system intervals. They do loads of focus strength work and focus conditioning work. And then all the rest is just chucking in skill stuff. They don't do CrossFit to get better at CrossFit. It's like basketball. You wouldn't go and if you don't go to NBA training and watch the guys just play basketball. They're running drills and they're doing all sorts of skill work, and that's being trained like a sport. If you want to compete in CrossFit, then you don't want to be doing CrossFit to get better, because there's better ways to get you fit and there's better ways to get you stronger. And it's funny because I've realized that I've just been shitting on CrossFit for the last hour, where for the last 10 to 12 years I've been a CrossFit, and I've got nothing against it. I think if people want to do it and that's they get something out of it and they want to do that type of training, awesome, definitely go for it. But I think if you're like, if you sit down and you honestly ask yourself, why are you doing CrossFit? What do you want to get out of it? And if it's like, I want to get stronger, I want to get fitter, I don't want knee pain, and I want to be a little bit leaner, I've got a much better program for you. If it's like, no, I want to do the Open next year, I want to compete in CrossFit, awesome, perfect, keep doing that.
Yeah. I think CrossFit completely changed the fitness industry for the better. In a way where it absolutely smashed. And it's better now being able to say this looking back on it. It smashed through what was being done at the time. And at the time, everything was about safety. And everything was very scared. Don't go knee over toe on your lunge. Don't do this, don't do that. CrossFit, whoever those boys were back in the day, just went, bosh, here's what we're doing. Yeah. And then there was like a window where it was quiet, and then it exploded through Facebook sharing and all those stuff, and everybody got involved. and I think it was just too young. The coaches were not quite able to identify, how do you improve shoulder mobility? Well, it's not that way. It's going to have to be something else. That wasn't established. As the coaching improved for CrossFit coaches, it started spitting out way better coaches, and then also over time, people started to understand what it is more, and it's actually maybe not for me.
Yeah.
CrossFit might not be for me. So, but then CrossFit just kept pushing on into more and more advanced, more and more technical gymnastics, all that stuff, which is good because it left this gaping hole.
Yeah.
It left a gaping hole for people like us, functional fitness, F45, Barry's Bootcamp. Now, in 2024, we have women in their late 40s squatting and deadlifting.
Yeah.
And that would not have happened if CrossFit didn't destroy the fitness industry for what it was 20 years ago. Yeah. They'd be still going to their aerobics class. They'd be still going to their aqua aerobics, it's completely different, and it's all for the better. There's a little bit of a time, I think, where it was confusing to some people, and some people got hurt. But I mean, people are going to start getting hurt playing paddle. Paddles burst onto the scene. Now people are showing up playing paddle. They're coming in with sore knees and sore shoulders.
For sure.
All right, let's just figure this out now. This is just something new that people are diving in it. So, I mean, I used to joke with Cara. She used to say, "You hate CrossFit." I was like, "I don't really hate it. I don't get it. It's not for me." And there was a window of time where I was maybe a little bit argy-bargy about it. But when you look at it for what it is, it's something totally different that I think the whole health and wellness world effectively benefited from.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's like anything is better than nothing. So if it gets like F45 is a great gateway for people to get into functional fitness, and then they end up in gyms like ours, in CrossFit gyms, and then they learn a lot more about movement and benefits of lifting weight and training at different intensities, and that allows them to progress onto different things. I think it's very beneficial, and one of the reasons that I was pulled to it is because of the variance, and I like to do a lot of bodyweight work. So my dad was in the military. I was never in the military, but my dad was. So we grew up, and one of the rules was if we play any game, it was like loser does push-ups. So we just spent our whole childhood doing push-ups and pull-ups for fun, basically. So I love bodyweight stuff. So as a program where I could do bodyweight stuff, and I like lifting weights because I was young and I learned how to squat and deadlift properly, so I can do that, and we can go running. This is awesome. This program's got everything. So the variance was cool, and that's one of my pulls to it. But that's one of its biggest kind of I think downfall was in too much variety. If you're not it's boring, but like you said, you do the same training split every week, and that you will get progress doing that same thing. Or I do the same endurance session every week, and I'm going to make progress, whereas I'm doing something different every week, and you're not going to make as consistent progress. I think that's one of the things missing. And the other thing, and this is big now, and figuring out how you build this into my life and in people's life, is just the exposure to different planes of movement. So CrossFit was very linear. It's very up and down, very straight. There's not a lot of rotational stuff, and there's not a lot of free movement. When you look at guys like the Ida Portal movement and things like that, and free moving, and just even just doing bear crawls and things like that, is okay, well, how do we include some of that and put some of that in? If you look at feeling good, and if you want to not be injured, is one thing that's gonna almost guarantee you injuries is by restricting your exposure to different movement patterns. If you think if you did really deep squats and you did really long lunges and you inverted frequently, you did all these different things, then the chance of you being exposed to something that's your body's not going to be strong enough to tolerate is probably low. So then how do you fit all these different things in? I think, and that was one of the things what I found with CrossFit. I became very you squat just below parallel, and your range of motion for your pull-up is this and this, and I became very stiff and very rigid in my movements. So now trying to undo years of having limited thoracic mobility and shoulder mobility, and how do you turn that more into play, into sport? And I want to go and play paddle and not worry about hurting my knee, but now, and I grew up, my sport was playing football. I would never go play football now. I'd tear my adductor straight away. First turn.
Well, I played football 2 Christmases ago on the 26th of December, and I tore my ankle ligament. And I've never torn my ankle ligaments. I have no history of it. I've played 1,000 sports, and we just went out cold on a winter morning, just dragged my foot and just went, and I was like, oof. It took me 6 months to recover from what I think was less. I mean, that makes it sound way worse than it was. It took me a few days to get walking again.
But still, you're feeling that for 6 months after.
6 months, I still couldn't sit on my heels in a kneeling position because it would strain. And it was not even a grade 2. It was no bruising, no swelling, no nothing. And that's I knew, grade 1, this will be fine. I can look at it, all right, grand. Strapped it for a few days, whatever. 6 months, I was finally, just kneeled down and sat on my heels and didn't feel a pull. It just goes to show, like, it also goes to show you can't be ready for everything.
No.
Do you know, like, if you're going to play paddle, just, like, don't go play with Rafa Nadal.
True.
Do you know, go play with you, just have some fun.
We organised a gym five-a-side football tournament, and obviously bunch of CrossFitters that used to play football 10 years ago, very competitive. And we did 11-minute games, and we ended up playing 7 games each. I've never been so sore in my life, just because not frequently doing those range of motions. Yeah. So even my triceps were sore from when trying to kick and like extending my arm to kick. My triceps were sore, and I was sore for 2 weeks after that. And they were all members that we was probably about 20, 30 of us. We had 4 injuries that resulted in memberships being paused because we went to play it. They were like, okay, no more sport fun activities for members.
Nobody's stepping outside these 4 walls.
Yeah, literally. And you're only allowed to squat to parallel and run in a straight line.
Yeah, if you can run a jog or lift, that's all. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. As you get old, you have to, like, I'm glad, like I said earlier, I'm really glad I don't have any competitive, like, I would rather, if I was playing football, I would rather be the joker, you know, just being the loud mouth, blah, 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 but like not hurting myself. Yeah. You know, or like the guys, every time there's a competition here, and again, she's not going to be listening to this, she doesn't listen to this, Robin accuses me of cheating. I'm just like, listen, your rules left a hole. I just worked that space in the rule book, and I've won this. I'm just saying, you know, there's some calorie thing where I went for a run in the morning. You have to hit these certain calories by the end of the workout. I was like, how are we judging this? Like, just by your watch. She's like, okay. 10 minutes in, I was like, right, I've won. Yeah. You know, and of course I've not won, you know, but it's just, that's how I get through these workouts. Just I've won this, so I'm going to just chill and just sit on my, and then I ended up doing like 21K on the assault bike that day. I was like, who does a half marathon on an assault bike? Look there, see, did that as well. And then just Robin just getting more and more annoyed. Like, you know, you're cheating, you can't do that. I'm like, listen, this is what your rules said. But like, actual competitive nature of trying to get to the finish line first, I'm like, forget it. Yeah. Those days are gone. I've enjoyed some level of success in my early days. That's enough, like playing sports, and so I'm just like, chill now. Just chill, just relax. But look, let's wrap it on that. What else is happening for you in the future with base? Are you guys doing high rocks? Are you doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll never do. I don't think I'll ever do a solo one, but I'm gonna do a pairs one. Me and one of the lads from the gym are going to do a pairs one. I feel that's just more tolerable. For me, I think high rocks is great, like in terms of access to, we've got a guy in our gym who just won world championships, Big John. He's 65 and he's doing high rocks. A guy called John Watton. And he,
cool.
But it's just mad, like he's 65 and he's able to go and fly to France to compete in a global fitness competition. Very accessible, and again, the movements are very accessible, so I think it's good. I think training for a solo high rocks would require like a lot of training, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that much of my time for that. Whereas I feel like a partner one, as long as your running's decent, you can kind of struggle your way through a partner one. So we'll do that. A couple guys from the gym doing that one next time it comes up. But no, nothing too much. I think just trying to get people to understand that, like you said, the hard work thing. Hard work's important to us because hard work is not just doing the hard work. The hard work is doing the things that you know are good for you. It's kind of like discipline. There was a video going viral the other week, and it was this guy sat in a frozen lake going, discipline is the highest form of self-love. It's doing the things you don't want to do now for your future self. So just trying to teach people that mentality of just like, even we changed our membership to 5 days a week instead of unlimited, because it's like, well, you don't need to train 6-7 days a week. Use that other day to get outside and get some nature, spend some time with family, connect a bit better to other things. Don't come in here and kill yourself all the time. That's hard for people because they want to come in and push themselves. Whereas the hard work part of that is taking 2 rest days a week or doing your recovery work. That might be the hardest thing for that person. So understanding what hard work and discipline isn't always killing yourself in the gym. It's just trying to teach that message. And I think we've got a lot of work to do to get our message out, especially internally. But I think we've done sounds like a good job digitally to do that first phase, but that's the plan.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I came across the page, and I was like, I actually thought it was somebody just different with the same name. So I scrolled through, and there's so much, and I know how it is when you go through like a little rebrand. I was like, there's so much content here on this new brand, like imagery. Scroll, and then I saw a picture of the gym, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. this is the same place, interesting. And then reached out to you and I was like, right, let's talk about it, because in my head I connected the two potentially from that first post where you're talking about zone 2 and you're talking about taking your intensity down to this new brand. I was like, maybe it's come, it is always more often not founder led. It's like, is this pushing through from you? So look, I've really enjoyed it today, man. Thanks for coming in. Where can people follow Base online?
Base DXB is their Instagram, and trainatbase.ae is the website. Not a lot of information on the website at this stage, but yeah, jump on the socials. And
you're in JLT for anybody around that area who wants to go.
Yeah.
Win High Rocks at 65.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the place. Cool. All right, cheers, Craig. Thanks.
Cheers, man.
See you guys.